It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
It's a happy Halloween here on the Pete Sousa Show. I am Ricky Vaughn, aka Wild Thing, filling in for Pete Sousa today. I don't know where the ball's going to go, right? But it's going to be coming at you fast and hard. And off the field, we are fast and we are loose. And I can't keep doing this with these glasses because I can't see a thing. All right, there we go. That's Halloween for the day. It's better than getting dressed up like Michael Myers again. Let me put the glasses on. Hold on, Scotty. I mean, these aren't bad, right? I mean, they're readers, right? They're Christie's readers. But, I mean, the sad part is when I look down, I'm like, oh, maybe I do need the readers. And Scotty is once again dressed up just like a special soul, like he is every day. That's not Halloween for him. That's just the price of doing business, baby. He's back in the studio. I'm up here in North Texas, and we are the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovakics. And happy to be here with you today on a Friday, a football Friday. No games for me this weekend, so I'm pretty pumped about that in a sense that I get a chance to kind of catch my breath. But, of course, you'd always rather be working just because it's a fall college football Saturday coming up, right? Got to share with everybody the news about calling NBC games yesterday. They put out an official release, which is awesome. It was like so cool to see my name on there. Get on the social media, retweet it a little bit, and yeah, you do your thing, and you feel kind of awkward, but at the same time, you never thought you'd be here, so you do kind of have to take a second. And it's cool to share with people because my whole thing is about being sober, and I would not be here if I didn't get a lot of help from a lot of people. So very cool situation. Not a very cool situation for the WNBA. They extended their labor agreement 30 days because it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to. Here, we'll start with this, and I'll be quick about it because I have like feelings about this. And look, it doesn't look like they're going to come to an agreement. The league is the one who extends it 30 days down the road. This is a crucial time for the WNBA to figure this out because if they don't, they could lose some of the momentum that they already lost, a chunk of it, once Caitlin Clark got hurt towards the end of last season. I mean, in July and June, that league was as hot as it has ever been. And hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But a work stoppage, and we've seen it with all the way back with hockey, right around 2003. We saw it with baseball in 1994. If you have a middling sport that you're trying to use your players and personalities and great play to connect with people, a work stoppage is the last thing you want. And that's not news to anybody, right? But the one thing I'll keep an eye on here as things start to intensify is that Caitlin Clark, I was reading this morning, she's not on the union's labor committee. She has made comments, but nothing. She has not gone out there with a front-facing approach and been like, hey, here's the deal. This is complete BS. Like, if we don't get this money, if we don't get these, they're looking for certain concessions. Like, they want stuff like basic stuff. They want like help with childcare because we're talking about women, not men. There's like interesting like nuanced pieces there, and they want revenue sharing, and they should get pieces of some of that, right? That's why they call it a negotiation, right? You're not as good. You're not what you're worth. You're what you can negotiate, and we'll see what they can negotiate. But I'm surprised, and I think it's telling about Caitlin Clark's future as a women's basketball player. And this isn't really a knock on the WNBA, but like, I'm surprised she's not more front and center with this. Or maybe I'm not, because it all goes back to the most successful basketball player of all time on and off the court, Michael Jordan, right? Republicans buy sneakers too. And what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark not being like right out there, to me is a telling sign. Like if people that are Caitlin Clark's base, and I hate to say it like she's a politician, but they're like Midwest, flyover state, meat and potatoes folks, right? They don't want people complaining. I hate to say that word, but they don't take too kindly to folks that are moaning about maybe it's salary, maybe it's certain things like revenue sharing, maybe they want too much. A lot of people still feel like the WNBA has been kept afloat for years by the NBA, which I can tell you as a former employee of the NBA, that is somewhat true. This is years ago. I mean, look, most of those teams lose a lot of money. The one team this year that did a tremendous job was the Bay Area team, the Golden State Valkyries. They did amazing. Obviously, Indiana did amazing. Obviously, it's moving in the right direction, but you can't blow it right now. And if you have to maybe, I just hope these young women that kind of are aware of who they are and have some gratitude for how they got here. I do want to see them continue to move forward. They deserve more money. They deserve revenue sharing. But what they don't need is a labor stoppage. And I think that it's curious, the lack of involvement we've seen from Caitlin Clark. And I think that has a lot to do with some of her fans. I do believe if we enter the 11th hour, she'll get involved. Okay. I had to get that out of the way. All right. I promise I'm done talking women's basketball. Lamar Jackson last night, we talked about it on the show. We began, before we talked to Scott Mitchell, we began with a conversation talking about Mike Preston, the columnist for the Baltimore Sun, who made the egregious error of saying that Lamar had tapped out. That's just, if you're going to say that a team or a player or a coach has tapped out, you had better be sourced up. And you don't have to have a source that is, you don't even have to name the source, but you have to have like some context behind an allegation like that. And it is an allegation. And we saw last night, Lamar was not tapped out. A little bit of rust early. He spoke about that, but quickly shaken right off. And he comes out of the gate in the second half. I think he completed his first 9 passes. Touchdowns to tight ends were the order of the day, which to me, as a football guy, always is a really good sign because, and I'm not saying I'm a football guy, like, oh, well, John Madden, but like, I know football, being around it, playing in college, like you have an idea of when a quarterback is finding his tight end with frequency, that means he's making checkdowns usually. And if it happens a handful of times, it's just a really good sign that your quarterback is probably taking what the defense gives them. And also one of the things that we were able to see was the explosiveness last night, not necessarily of Lamar Jackson, but from Derrick Henry. And we all know it takes the pass to run. It takes the run to pass. And that opened things up last night. The Ravens running game back on track. The Dolphins they're not very good, right? I mean, but they're an NFL football team who needed a win desperately last night. And the Ravens took care of business. And I'm disappointed in myself that before the game, I didn't, because all yesterday I talked about the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. Lamar's going to come back and he can kind of restore the order there offensively. And defensively, they're already pretty good. And yesterday morning, I think they had like a 32% chance of making the playoffs. Today, some sources have them at 60%. That's when you factor in the return of Lamar Jackson and you factor in their win total now. I guess they're 3-5. The Ravens are dangerous. The key for the Ravens and for Lamar Jackson is like, okay, Lamar Jackson's back. He just needs to stay back. And he needs to stay consistent. And that's a dude I'm rooting for. And it was cool to see him play well last night. It was nice to see, and I'm not here to take a dump on that columnist, Mike Preston, but that's a guy who I read, who I respect. And when I saw he said something on the Baltimore sports podcast that Lamar had quit and he felt very good about saying that Lamar had tapped out, I thought that was weak sauce. And I just think when you're a credible source for sports news, and as a columnist, you become a source for all kinds of different news, you have the right to share your opinion. But when you make a statement as strong as that, it's nice if you can back it up with he told someone X or someone told me X. And we didn't have any of that. All we had last night was a Ravens fireworks display with the return of Lamar Jackson. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to Salt Lake City, Utah, baby. Steve Bartle's going to join us. We're talking Big 12, Utah Utes. We're going to talk a little Utes basketball. The blueprint for success out in Utah has been laid by BYU. Can Utah follow it? Steve Bartle is a great guy to talk to about all this. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about that Cincinnati-Utah match tomorrow. Huge game in the Big 12. ESPN College Game Day is there. We are right back after this break. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovakics.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_HTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Welcome back, Pete Sousa Show. So glad you're with us. We're going to throw it back to Pete and Steve Bartle here in just a second. Speaking of talking about some football in Utah, a quarterback that used to play up there. Okay, I'll name names. Jake Retzloff lost me some money last night. Did you see UTSA blow out Tulane? It's why we love sports. It's so unpredictable, and yet here I am trying to tell you how to win some money on Underdog. Here are my college football picks for the week. Avery Johnson higher than half a rushing touchdown. Jordan Mayava for USC. I think Nebraska is in free fall mode. Matt Rule's over there flirting with Penn State. Give me higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Connor Wegman higher than 34.5 rushing yards against a poor West Virginia team. Jalen Daniels with higher than 2.5 passing touchdowns against a more poor Oklahoma State team. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman frontrunner in my mind, higher than 9.5 rushing yards. And Sawyer Robertson is going to have to throw 5 touchdowns for Baylor to win any games the rest of the season. He will throw for higher than 1.5 against UCF at Baylor's homecoming tomorrow. Remember, use that promo code Sousa, SUSA. You will get some bonus cash along with a $5 deposit, so you can keep playing Underdog with us all season long. Underdog, make picks, win money. I do it just about every single day. Makes watching sports a whole lot of fun. Sousa, it's not just a promo code, it's a man.
I don't know about all that. Sometimes I feel like half a man, but sometimes when I'm joined by Steve Bartle, I feel completed. Steve Bartle joins us right now. Steve, writing for KSL Sports, covering all the Utah sports out there. Also, the Utah broadcast, and we got him right now with us today. Steve, man, thanks so much for joining.
Pete, man, it's been a long time coming. I've been looking forward to this for a really long time, man.
Yeah, dude, it's cool to get together, make a little magic here. I do want to. I saw a piece of breaking news from a legitimate source. On3 is reporting that Sam Leavitt is done for the season for Arizona State. What do you, just quickly, you have a real pulse for the Big 12 in the league. What do you make of that move, and how does it impact the conference?
Yeah, coming into the season, I thought Sam Leavitt was the best quarterback in the league, and he just, going back to last year, he proved that he knew how to win, right? Coming down the stretch in clutch moments, he always seemed to come up big with big plays, whether through the air or on the ground. So for Arizona State, that's a tough one, right? That's a brutal one. They'll now transition to Jeff Sims and try to stay competitive, but that's a tough one for Arizona State, trying to stay in title contention this year. And unfortunate, Sam Leavitt was a tremendous talent, and that's a tough loss for the Sun Devils.
It is. I didn't think he was going to necessarily. I didn't think he was going to raise the bar when you compared him to last year, because I just thought that was a magnificent season for him as a redshirt freshman. But I didn't think, injury, you always just kind of take that out of the equation. But he's been hobbled all season long, and I guess I probably should have thought about that, because he was hobbled late in the year, at the end of 2024. But here we are with a totally different conference. And that brings us, to Utah and your appointment tomorrow. You were kind enough to give me a little insight yesterday, telling me that Devin Dampier is on track to start. And it was funny, dude. I had your boy Scott Mitchell on the show yesterday. And I said, hey, Bartle just told me this. What do you think about it? And he was like, well, I kind of wish Bird was going to start because of how well he played. Like, what are your thoughts on Dampier coming back, if you have the latest update on his availability, and your thoughts on what Scott said and your own opinion on who's the best to lead that team right now?
Yeah, I'll start with Bird, right? Going back to last week, a really exciting performance, right? He finished 10 of 22, but he started the game 1 of 7, and he had the 63-yard run, and I think the adrenaline was pumping a little bit and maybe juiced some passes. But once he settled in, He looked really comfortable. He looked poised. And I think the biggest thing that stood out about his performance more than anything else was simply looking like he belonged on the field. And so, he has a great outing. He finished with 291 total yards, 3 touchdowns. He was named Offensive Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week, and really has generated a lot of excitement for him and his future here at Utah. And I think a lot of people now want that future to start now. And, right or wrong, right? I think there's just a lot of excitement for Bird. But I think it's been really clear, really evident, hearing from Coach Whittingham, hearing from other coaches and players, what Devin Dampier means to this team, not only in the sense of, what he's done to get them to this point, but his leadership on and off the field is really, really crucial, really vital. And I think he is the unquestioned guy, unquestioned leader in that room. So I understand the excitement for Bird, but this is Dampier's team, and I think everybody kind of understands that. Now, coming back this week, there's probably going to be some pressure. There's probably going to be some desire, even on his part, to have a strong performance. Given what we saw from Ficklin last week, I would anticipate him being motivated to come out and play really well.
Where is Utah right now as far as your expectation preseason was concerned, and what are your projections for the rest of this season? I felt early on that loss to Texas Tech I felt like you ran into a buzzsaw. I didn't think that was an indication of who they were, for the rest of the year to come. And they've proven, that theory. Like, this is a good football team. But, if they can win this game against a ranked Cincinnati opponent at home, now we're talking going to Arlington, and the possibility of playing in that title game becomes more and more of a reality. What's the pulse on the team from ground zero and their expectation and ability to make it to the Big 12 championship game?
Yeah, I think coming into the season, I always talked about this team being an 8-4, 9-3 type of team, getting to 10-2, getting to the Big 12 title game. That was going to be dependent upon players stepping up and making plays in some of these big games, right? The Texas Tech, the BYU game. And unfortunately, Utah didn't make enough plays in those games to get those wins. But I think in terms of the talent on this team, this is right in line with what I sort of anticipated this season. And talking to the players this week, they understand the importance of this game on Saturday night. Nothing else really matters. If they don't get this win against Cincinnati, not that they're completely eliminated from title contention, but it certainly impacts a lot of the tiebreaker scenarios that are currently actually in favor of Utah right now, with some of the anticipated results the rest of the way. So we'll see. But I think there's a lot of buy-in and a lot of focus just on getting this win. I remember, Saturday night, going back to the Colorado win, 53-7, ran into a couple players, a couple coaches after the game, and just the message the entire time from everybody was, we got to beat Cincinnati. So that's the mindset. They know how important this game is, and this game, beyond just what it means in the Big 12 title race. I mean, you think of kind of the context around the season. Utah's been on a national stage now this will be 3 times with ESPN College Game Day, right? Fox Big Noon kickoff for the previous 2 big games. This is an opportunity to now get that big win on a national stage. And I think that's really important for Utah as they move forward into this next month, because the schedule and the matchups really set up well for them to finish the season on a real high note.
Take me through the end of the schedule. Just refresh my memory. Like, what are they have Cincinnati, and then what's the rest of the, like, is it manageable? Give me some details.
Yeah. It's Cincinnati this week, right? This is the big one, Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's playing great football. This is going to be a really tough contest. When you win 7 straight, they're playing great football. So it's going to be a tough test, but you get this one, and then you have a bye week, right? So you have a bye week to kind of reset, refresh for the final 3 games of the season. And that's going on the road to Baylor. You return home for what should be a really fun matchup against Kansas State. So you host the Wildcats. And then a tricky one is a Black Friday morning game in Lawrence, Kansas against the Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah.
So when you look at the opponents, right, with the way Baylor's been trending, I know that they were considered one of the top contenders coming into the league, but haven't really lived up to expectations. Same with Kansas State.
Yeah.
You like the way that Utah matches up with those teams, given their rushing attack and how unstingy those teams have been against the rushing attack. So you like the matchup, but again, that last one, the Black Friday game, 10 a.m. kickoff or 10:30, I can't remember which one it is. That one's going to be tricky, but still pretty manageable.
Covering the Big 12 conference as you have, for a while now, particularly the last few years, what have you been able to glean from as to what stands out to you about this conference? What makes it great, and what for you has stood out this season?
It's just super competitive across the league, right? Utah was so unique in the Pac-12 because they were the tough guys. They were the pesky underdog. They played the physical brand and embraced that underdog mentality really well. And it fit really well in the Pac-12. In the Big 12, everybody else was sort of had that same sort of mindset, given who was in that conference with Oklahoma and Texas kind of being the standard in the league for so long. All the other teams in the Big 12 sort of embrace that underdog mentality as well. So that's really kind of what's made this conference so fun and so competitive, is you have just these teams that really feel like they're the underdog each and every week. And it's made for physical, competitive, wild outcomes pretty consistently. And you've seen it the last two seasons, right? Arizona State last year picked dead last in the Big 12. They go on to win it. Cincinnati, not necessarily picked dead last in the conference. I think a lot of people had them in the bottom half, but still 7-1, 5-0 in the Big 12. There's always this room for surprise, and I think that's what makes the league so interesting to follow, is that all of these teams are, close to the same level in terms of talent composition, coaching, and it just makes for a lot of volatility, a lot of fun, and a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it's a great conference. I love it, and it's cool to hear somebody from you who knows what they're talking about. Somebody like you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, what your experience has been, because it's brand new to a lot of folks in Utah, and there was a little bit of hesitancy about, hey, what are we getting ourselves into here? But I think it could be a conduit to a playoff appearance right now for the Utes, and they're sort of in control of their own destiny. So it'll be cool to see how that works out. All right, let's turn the page to hoops. It was cool for me to be at Big 12 Media Days to just see Alex Jensen walking around. He was in the I was calling games in the NBA D League at the time when he was, I think he was with Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. And we must have played them like 100 times. Or the Canton Charge, he was the head coach of. And first of all, I forgot how big he was. I mean, obviously he played for Majerus. He's a basketball player, but he's a big dude. And you did an amazing job covering that transition when Craig Smith was let go. And there was kind of like, great, what the heck happened? It was a weird time in the season. Eilert takes over, and then Utah just kind of rides off into the sunset. The basketball team does. But now here we are, a ton of anticipation. And I'm curious, take me through, is getting someone like Alex Jensen with that NBA DNA, but also those Utah Utes, when you look, not far away in Provo, Kevin Young has that NBA resume, that NBA DNA that a lot of these young players are attracted to. Was this a move made? Obviously, you can't miss with Alex Jensen when you're talking about alums and people who love the Utes, but also you really can't miss with recruits, because this is a guy who's saying, look, I know the way. I literally have been there, just like Kevin Young. Was there sort of, and copycat's a lame term, but you get what I'm saying. Was there sort of like, hey, we see what they're doing, that's a way for us to do the same thing?
Yeah, I think with Alex Jensen and Utah specifically, there's been a long desire from the fan base to bring Alex Jensen home, essentially, right? And you can go back to when Craig Smith was hired back in, what was that, 2021, I believe, coming off the COVID year. There was a strong push for Alex Jensen then. So this is somebody that Utah fans, the boosters, and
was
people,
he offered the job? He was, right?
There's a lot of debate about how genuine that offer was, but yes,
Okay.
they talked about the job, and I think Alex Jensen was in a situation in the NBA where, we see it almost each and every year, but there's a cycle for these assistants that get opportunities to move up. And I think Alex Jensen felt like he was in a place where he could potentially be a guy on some short lists for head coaching jobs in the NBA. So it didn't work out in terms of the timing then. But I think this go around, a few years later, there was a lot of motivation from Utah boosters and Utah, the athletic department, to make this happen. And when you decide to fire a coach like Craig Smith, with the timing and in the manner that it was done, it was met with criticism, which I think was fair. But at the same time, it was a move that Utah almost had to make because they had to make this move to bring Alex Jensen back to the program. And I think what he's done to kind of reignite the passion for the basketball program was the big motivation for Utah to make this move, given his connection to the past and the glory days under Rick Majerus, his experience in the NBA and the relationships and knowledge that he possesses. It made an impact right away for Utah as they started to kind of reconstruct the roster through the transfer portal. They brought in a handful of guys that when you just look at their talent profiles as recruits coming out of high school and in the transfer portal themselves, were the type of guys that Utah has rarely been able to bring in. And I think that was really exciting. And it was due in large part to some of the relationships that Alex had. Coach Rafael Chilius, who was an ace recruiter for the last 15 years in college basketball, spent time at Washington, spent time with Georgetown and a couple other places as well. And each spot he's been in, he's been just a tremendous recruiter. And I think to see that, the initial fruits of that with who they brought in from the transfer portal, there's a lot of excitement. And it gets back to having the know-how. And players talked about this. Keanu Dawes and James Okonkwo talked about this at Big 12 Media Days, is they had a detailed plan for what they saw in them, their projection, sort of their role, how they would help them develop as players, as people, as students. And that sort of detail, I think, has been missing for Utah for so many years, that I think Alex bringing that from the NBA is going to help Utah significantly.
When you look at what's going on with BYU hoops, like AJ DeBonsa, like Rob Wright going over from Baylor, what do you make of what's happening over there and the resources of such a huge rival of the Utes, and how they're not only pulling away from Utah, it would seem, but from everybody else? Like, this is not something that I don't think anyone saw, in their crystal ball. At least I didn't, like 5-6 years ago. I mean, they made their first Sweet 16 ever last March, and now here we are. People are out of their minds about this team and this basketball season. What's your take on that, being close to it?
Yeah, being so close to it, you hear about it all the time from everybody. But no, it's been interesting. And I think for BYU fans, the previous decade, being an independent and kind of being in turmoil all those years, while Utah and other programs around them have been in conferences and in conference battles, BYU fans, I think there's just a lot of motivation now to really capitalize on this opportunity now, being in a conference like the Big 12. And with NIL now becoming legal, there's a lot of, again, excitement and motivation for that program to kind of put themselves on a higher tier, a higher level of competitiveness. So it's kind of been this perfect storm for BYU, given the fact that they have spent the last 10, 12, 15 years in independence by themselves, all alone, where you're not really competing for anything but a bowl game and basketball opportunities and all of that. I just think it's kind of become this perfect storm for that program. And for the Big 12, I think there's now a lot of motivation to raise the bar themselves. I know that's been a big thing for Utah with the basketball program itself, Alex Jensen being a part of that. There's a lot of motivation now to raise the resources around the basketball program, not only to keep pace, but to put themselves, at the top where a lot of the fan base, Utah fan base, feels like this program belongs.
When the Utah, like the new arena, the Huntsman Center, which is awesome. I mean, that's where the most, you could say, dude, maybe the most important basketball game of all time was ever played in that building. 79, Bird versus Magic, Indiana State, and Michigan State. Like, that's a historic venue, and going in there, you get goosebumps sometimes. But it's also, I think you would agree, maybe time to turn the page. And I know there's a new building coming up. What's the update on that, and when's it opening? Like, what's the story there? Because I've seen like renderings, I'm not like a real builder, so for me to even say renderings is a big deal. Like, you give me a hammer and we're gonna have a long day. But really, what's it looking like? When's it gonna open? Give me some details.
Yeah, it's a couple years away, and if you've seen renderings that I haven't even seen. So I'm going to ask you to send those to me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think there's a lot of motivation for Utah to build a new arena. As you said, the John M. Huntsman Center is one of the most iconic venues in college basketball. Last year, a couple programs came to Salt Lake City for the first time. Kansas State. Bill Self is obviously what he is, right? You say his name, that name, what it means in college basketball. I asked him about what it meant to be here in the John M. Huntsman Center, and he just spoke about it in reverence, right? Like, that's what that arena means. At the same time, to your point, it's a little outdated, right? In terms of the amenities for players, coaches, for fans, for the fan base, and what the arena offers. It is just a little old, a little outdated, and it's going to be much easier to simply tear it down and build a new arena. And this is part of a bigger topic conversation with Utah, which is going through a major transformation as a university. There's been a lot of housing units going up on campus. Utah, under President Taylor Randall, is trying to make this more of an on-campus university, because that's been an element that I think Utah has, I don't want to say held them back, but it's just a step that they want to take as a university. And with the Olympics coming to Salt Lake City, that also plays a role in all of this as well. But we're a couple years away before we start hearing real concrete updates on the new basketball arena. But it's what Utah needs is a new arena, right? The basketball programs, the gymnastic program, the Red Rocks with what they do, they deserve a new program. They deserve new amenities. And I think it'll be a good thing. And then as Utah continues to evolve as a university itself, that's going to help them into the future. As we talk about conference realignment and all these conversations, that's what this is all about.
And, ESPN broadcasters, NBC broadcasters, Fox broadcasters won't have to pester John Vu about, hey, is there a bathroom down here that we can use, dude? Because you let us use the bathroom.
That's what I mean.
I'm like, dude, and I don't mind. Honestly, that's how I got to meet you, because I was marching upstairs to go to the bathroom, and we shook hands and started talking and catching up. So what a blessing. See that? The Huntsman Center continues to give back to basketball and fans everywhere. Bartle, any Halloween plans?
Man, this is my first Halloween with our son. He's 2.5 years old. So we've got him dressed up as a fireman. He's really loved fire trucks and stuff. So our first Halloween with the kid, and looking forward to getting out and having a good time with him.
Oh, what's his name?
Miles.
All right, we got Miles. He's the fireman. Can we get Miles Bartle over here? We've got him. I need him to put out a fire. Steve, man, thank you for giving me the opportunity to use that. All right, man.
That was great.
I really appreciate you taking the time. You're a great dude, a great writer, and you bring to college sports what we need more of, which is efficient, accurate, aggressive reporting, and you do a hell of a job. So I encourage everybody, follow Bartle on Twitter, check him out, KSL Sports. He does all the writing there, and the Utah Blockcast. Am I missing anything? Where can people find you, by the way?
No, that's good, man. KSLsports.com, the Utah Blockcast. You can find us on YouTube at KSL Sports. You can find us on your podcast feeds everywhere, on Twitter, Bartle KSL Sports. And yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said to start, it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a really long time. So I'm happy that we finally got this got this done and really, really enjoyed this conversation, Pete.
Yeah, man, I'll see you out in Salt Lake City. I'll let you know when I have a game out there this year, but I appreciate you.
Please do. Yeah, please do. We'll grab some lunch, man.
You got it, bro. Take care. Steve Bartle does an amazing job, dude. I got to know Steve and his work just when Craig Smith was unceremoniously fired. I mean, I'd read Steve before that happened, but I mean, if you wanted to know what was going on inside that situation and what was going to happen in the future, he was the guy. And it was for him, he was so sourced up. I think it was only a matter of when he was comfortable sharing some of the information and when he could, using that like journalistic integrity. But check him out, dude. You want to know anything about the Big 12 Utah sports, that's your guy. The Pete Sousa Show is going to step aside. We'll come back. I want to talk about Vanderbilt and Texas. All right. That's the biggest game this weekend nobody's talking about. And a couple other things, so a little potpourri, and then we'll get out of here and let Scotty go trick-or-treating. I know he's got a big night planned, all right? The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. We'll be right back.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. and its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the P2's show is back. We're looking at some breaking news right now. Our boy Chris Visser just sends us a note. He's down in Florida, in the central part of the state in Orlando, but down south, a storm is a-coming, and it's already basically hit, right? It's made landfall in Miami. Mike McDaniel will be out at the end of the year as head coach. I think everybody can agree on that. Maybe before that, Stephen Ross has said he will let McDaniel finish the year, like no more questions on that. But Chris Greer will not finish the year. He's their general manager, and he's been given the old heave-ho as of this morning. Champ Kelly is going to take over in his place and sort of run things on an interim basis. And I can promise you that's exactly what that is, because it's a whole new regime that's going to come into Miami. And one of the interesting things about that is if you're clean house, right, you now have one of the most and the Dolphins are, when you think about trademark NFL organizations, the Dolphins are certainly there. I mean, that's, we talked with Scott Mitchell about it yesterday. It's Don Shula, it's Dan Marino, it's Larry Zonka, it's 14-0 in 1972. It's an inability really to turn the page, to have consistent success, really after the turn of the century. And I think it is, it's time for a change, obviously. And when you start to ramp up your scouting and getting ready for the draft and evaluation of players and coaches and all that stuff, like, a GM is not a bad position to change at this point in time. But that'll be an interesting situation because it's the Dolphins, and the Dolphins interest me. The Dolphins are like one of the more curious franchises in the NFL, where they're located, that type of person in Miami. Like, sure, if the Dolphins are doing great, everybody's behind them. But if they suck, it's like, all right, this is South Florida. Let's go do some other stuff. It would be cool to keep an eye on that situation. All right, final thoughts as we get into the weekend. I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about Texas and Vanderbilt. And this is like a huge game to me. I think it's like low key one of my favorite games this weekend. Probably is my favorite game. First of all, I'm old. And like I said, I don't have a game this weekend. And this game starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. So, I mean, I am pumped to watch this on ABC. Vanderbilt traveling to Texas, right? And Texas hasn't played a home game in like 40 days. And Texas is still like, it's weird, man. Like, they're still like, honestly, it's Halloween, like sort of like Michael Myers right now. Like, they're still totally in the hunt. They're ranked 20th in the country. Vanderbilt hasn't played in Austin, I think, in a long time. Since I'm talking like since 1903 or 04. It's a big matchup, and both teams, have playoff hopes on the line. So it's going to be pretty awesome. Vanderbilt's ranked 9th in the country. That never happens. And we're moving now into an era where, when we were at the ESPN College Basketball Summit, we were, blessed, and I don't say that like tongue in cheek, to Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, talked to us. And he shared a lot of stuff with us that we were under strict orders not to share, right? It was like really cool insight of, how the sausage is being made right now and where we're going with college football. By the way, sidebar on that, Spencer Tillman is going to join us next week on Thursday. And we're going to talk about the state of college football and the future of college football. Spencer, an Oklahoma alum, obviously, him calling games on Fox forever after moving over from CBS, and was a great player for the Oilers and went to Oklahoma. Like I said, he played on the Bosworth teams, and he's going to teach a class in Norman about the future of college football, which is like, at this point, that's like calculus to me, which is like, regular arithmetic is tough. So that is going to be a great conversation to have. But back to Vanderbilt and Texas, I think this game is so interesting because is this just one of those years
every so often, right, Duke gets a bug up its ass and is ranked, and thanks to a guy like Mike Elko, right, is ranked in the top 25, top 15, and the program is doing awesome. And then it kind of fades to the back. Well, we're in a whole new era now where like Vanderbilt is doing a tremendous job finding guys who would normally be backups at Alabama. And they're giving them some money and they're giving them a chance to play right away. And it's going pretty well. And the Alabama, it's not just kind of an example, but it's a broad stroke, but there's much finer bristles to the whole deal. But can this be something that is sustained? Is this like some kind of like, I don't want to overdo it, but some kind of turning point game where you have, teams like when before Texas was in the SEC, everybody else just used to take a huge crap on Vanderbilt. Like, this is not breaking news, right? When I was in college, my girlfriend went to Vanderbilt. One of my best friends in the world, I've talked about, Bart Smith, went to Vanderbilt. Bart, I think, is going to that game. He's probably got like what is that company he's working for? Avalanche, the crypto. They're probably flying him in on a helicopter. I don't get that call anymore. Hopefully because he thinks I'm busy, but I won't be. Actually, I will be. We got a birthday party here tomorrow. So we're getting geared up for that. Hopefully we'll be able to watch Vanderbilt, Texas before. Swingler, let me bring you in for a quick Vanderbilt, Texas conversation because I know you love Pavia. I know you love the underdog, as do I. Like, what are you looking forward to as far as this matchup is concerned? And do you agree with me at all? Could this be like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this before we get here? Like, really, like, future of college football are we moving towards a situation where Vanderbilt could be playing big games like this as we turn the calendar to November?
I'm a little bitter about this question, Pete, because I said probably starting about 2 years ago that the new setup of college football could be really beneficial for Baylor for the reason that I think it was going to level the playing field. Yeah. Now, it obviously has not worked out that way for Baylor just yet, but if you look at the top 10, 12 teams, Pete, that are going to make the playoffs, let's face it, Indiana is going to be a shoo-in. Georgia Tech is probably going to make it in unless something unforeseen happens. Vanderbilt has a really good chance to be the second or third SEC team in that makes it into the postseason. So clearly it has leveled the playing field in some sense. And by the way, I think this is more a product of what each of these schools have gotten out of these two quarterbacks, but I don't think Texas has a shot in this ball game. I think Vanderbilt's gonna win and win soundly. I struggle to see. I know Texas has a really good level of talent on defense, but I think this is like a 17 to 10, 17-14 victory for Vanderbilt here. I don't only think
Texas
Vanderbilt's
is favored
coming
by
into this
3.5 points. Texas is a 3.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I'm taking Vandy all day against that line, man. I think and I am a little down on Texas, and it's easy for me to be that way, but really, I think
it's hard not to be. But they continue to find ways to eke out games, and it's one of those.
But not against top 25 teams.
No, exactly. And I think we're gonna. This game is going to really dictate the rest of Texas season. Like, are you a team that has found a way to win and can find a way to win against a top 25 team and really legitimately take the back door into the playoff and maybe Arch gets hot? Okay.
Well, and that's why on the graphic, I'm serious about this. It's testing both of these teams. I mean, if Vanderbilt walks, I know Texas is down from last year, but if Vanderbilt walks into Austin and comes out with a decent win, that's more steps towards legitimacy for that program. If Texas can beat this Vanderbilt team, which I do think is deserving of a top 10 ranking at this point, that says something about their place, that they are still one of the best programs in the nation, despite having come down just a hair this year from last year. So it's a big game this weekend. Yeah. I mean, I think I obviously think that Cincinnati-Utah game is big. I think Texas Tech at Kansas State is kind of a sleepy good game going on in the Big 12.
Yeah,
but outside of those, and I obviously have Big 12 interest, this is a huge game this weekend. Yeah.
Where are you at? I mean, you're putting together the Green and Gold pregame show.
Yep.
Before the season, you and I looked at this game on the schedule and thought, okay, this is, of course, me, Positive Pete. I was like, well, this is a W, and they're going to be doing that as they make their way, hopefully, to a Big 12 title appearance. Well, that ain't happening, Captain, right? Talking to myself with that. What is the level of interest around Baylor alums and fans coming into tomorrow, do you expect, what do you expect the crowd to be like? Let's not get overly negative, but like, what's the vibe check around this game for you? That's a dangerous question for me to ask, and I apologize in advance for putting you in
well,
that
I've got bad feelings.
Yeah.
I got worse feelings this morning, Pete. I saw the email that Baylor sent out to students last night about staying through the fourth quarter. Did you see this?
No, please tell me.
Brother, this is the most embarrassing thing I have seen in a very long time from any college football program. Baylor University sent an email to students yesterday saying, hey, we need you to stay through the fourth quarter. And if you stay through the fourth quarter, we're going to put up a QR code during the fourth quarter that will give 2 students a chance to win dinner with the team, attend the pregame chaplain service, and be on the field for the game. I think at the next home game, maybe when Utah comes to town.
Ooh.
Pete, that is a disaster. One, that tells you that they know students probably haven't pulled enough tickets yet. And we're in Friday of homecoming today. Yeah. 2, it tells you the fact that they're trying to now bribe. We're not talking about
bribe. Let's not.
It's a bribe. What do you want to call that?
They're trying to reward.
Lizzie's nodding in the corner.
Fans.
It's a bribe. Stay through the fourth quarter.
I am so far away from that.
Brother, this is bad. Like,
I mean, look, it's not good.
You can be scared to use language. I'm going to tell it what it is. Yeah. They are trying to provide incentive to manipulate students to stay the entire game. The fact that you have to do that in the first weekend of November, it tells you everything you need to know about where this football program's at. Now, you asked me about the game. Pete, I want to throw this back at you. Yeah. I have not seen UCF play this year. You have.
Yeah.
I am down on Baylor's football team, but I did come into the season thinking UCF was one of the worst teams in the conference, and they still, rankings-wise, are not very great. You've seen them play. You know where Baylor's at. How do you think the game might go tomorrow on the field? Take away the student stuff and the vibes and the homecoming stuff.
I think that Baylor could. I think if Baylor will be in trouble. First of all, I think that UCF is going to generate a score on defense. Because they have at the skill positions, they got guys, they have like studs at the skill positions. And basically they're a team that, I mean, like 75, 80 transfers, like really still trying to find their rhythm, but they got dudes. So like, you'll see like a couple like big plays down the field, right? Like you'll see, what's his face from Oklahoma State. Ollie Gordon is like so electric. They got this other kid, Miles.
Ollie Gordon's in the NFL. I'm not sure.
Not Ollie Gordon. Come on. Now I gotta look it up. He was a former Oklahoma State guy that everybody was super high on.
Okay.
And let me look it up real quick here. And Nixon, Jaden Nixon. So Jaden Nixon is like electric. I think it could go bad. I think it could go sideways for Baylor quick. Like, if there's one thing that UCF has done a good job of in games they've won this year, like when they get on teams, they get on them. Like they annihilated West Virginia. They annihilated North Carolina. They annihilated the game that I called down there. That was against A&T. But I'm talking like 40, 50-point wins.
Right. And those are bad. None of those teams are as good as Baylor.
No, they're not. They're not. But West Virginia's not awful either. And like they can just get on you. Like, for instance, like if you kick – like if Jaden Nixon gets a shot to return a kickoff, like he may return it for a touchdown. Like UCF has that in the bag. They'll have a weird score, whether it's special teams or defense, in games where they win. And it totally, those are game-changing plays that just knock.
Tell me about their offense, because my perception is though that they don't have a quarterback, and I think
who's going to start for them? Do we know?
The pro case for Baylor is going to be. And Baylor started every game slow, so I don't know how they solve that. But the pro case for Baylor could be if they get up by 2 touchdowns, and that offense is very capable. I don't know how UCF catches up.
Well, they catch up with Taven Jackson. The problem is he hates getting hit. Like he hates pressure. So if you can get,
don't worry, Baylor's not very good at putting the quarterback on the ground.
That's what I'm saying. This is a perfect recipe. Like Taven Jackson has a really good arm. I know for a fact, I can say this now, like early in the year, like Scott Frost point blank told me, this is who I want to be our guy. I want him to step up. Early in the season, they didn't give Jackson the starting job because I think maybe there was like some attitude stuff because he's the talented one. And he responded really well when he didn't get the job. Apparently, he is a great kid. His dad's like, I can tell you all the stuff. You know, his dad's a police officer in Indianapolis, like comes from a great family. But he does not like getting hit, dude. He doesn't. He was on Indiana. He played meaningful games for Indiana last year. When your boy Roark got hurt. Rourke, yeah. So they have the horses, dude, for this game to be a UCF win. That's all I'll say. And that I'm fearful of this going sideways for Baylor on Saturday. I am.
It's all bad vibes in Waco, Pete. You asked me about vibes. It's all bad vibes.
Yeah.
I think the stadium is going to be remarkably empty for a homecoming game, and that's because I think campus and the parade tonight and tomorrow morning are going to be crowded. I think. Yeah. I mean, all my friends are here from out of town, but nobody's excited about that football game, man. And certainly
people will go to the game, right? And then it's like, will they stay? That's kind of the question.
I don't think many people are going to go. And then I agree if Baylor gets down early, they're all going to leave, man. They're going to hit the road and drive back to Houston or Dallas or wherever they've come in from. And, dude, I don't know anything. I'm not projecting. I'm not wishing for anything.
Oh, I know. You're the most passionate Baylor fan.
If Baylor loses that game tomorrow,
yeah,
to cap off homecoming, which is sacred at Baylor, that's a big deal at Baylor, and the stadium's empty, I don't think Dave Aranda makes it through the weekend. I really don't. I really don't.
That is not way cool. It's not way cool.
We're gonna lose homecoming, and he's going, man, the care factor was just so high.
I'm telling you, I love that guy so much. I know he'll be successful at his next stop because he'll be a coordinator. But yeah, that's that is a possibility for sure. You know, but I don't know. Does Mac want to do that? Like, does Baylor want to do? That's not a Baylor thing to do. I hate to say that, but
listen, I told Mosley this because Mosley has said that as well, and I understand why that would be your perspective. But keep in mind, Baylor hasn't had to fire a coach. Take the Bryles was like at the end of the spring, and like it was a weird. Take that situation out of it. Baylor hasn't traditionally had to fire a coach since 2007. It's been 18 years since Baylor's done this. And so I don't think there's a recipe or a playbook. And frankly, I think the week by week, if the trajectory continues, the pressure is going to mount on Mac Rhodes increasingly. And the way he gets that pressure off of himself. And frankly, if I'm Mac and I got to lead the college football playoff committee, you might just want to knock this out this weekend, focus on doing the playoff committee, get your team together for the search instead of having to worry about Dave Aranda every week and what the fans are saying every week.
Another thing too is if as we have talked about this and been transparent about stuff that we both learned, like, you know, I don't know who's giving money to this program, but it just takes a couple guys with huge wallets to be like, you know what, no mas until we make this change. Like, I'm not feeling good. Like, this next check isn't coming. I mean, who knows? There's so much going on we don't know. Well, I got one more question for you. It's a hot button topic, but I wanted to ask you this, and I plan to ask you this. Yesterday, Art Briles speaks at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Okay, from what I saw on social media, it seemed like it got a nice reception. It seemed like a fine event, right? Whether you think it was great or blah blah blah. Do you think that maybe puts Art, like the Texas Sports Hall of Fame honoring Art Briles, does that move him further along to coaching again somewhere? Like, do you like is it possible that somebody could hire Art Briles? Like,
okay, I like this question. You didn't warn me about this question, so let me process for a second. Yeah, I was worried you were going to say at Baylor, and the answer to that is still absolutely no.
No, and I wouldn't want that.
Here's Pete. If that is going to happen, I think it will happen this offseason. I would probably put it at like a 10% chance.
Yeah.
I do think now more than ever, it's been a full decade. He's expressed he would do it and that he would like to. He did have a nice reception yesterday from, you know, he will always have a large contingent of people in Waco that love him, adore him, cherish him, and support him. and they were all there yesterday. Here's why I think there's a 10% chance. It's not so much about what happened yesterday in Waco as much as we are about to enter the craziest coaching carousel in college football history that I can recall.
That's
Maybe
why
there was
that's what brings about the question.
correct. You're right. So it's not actually about what happened yesterday in Waco. You asked about the Sports Hall of Fame. I don't think that's moved the needle.
Okay.
I think the fact that it's been 10 years and this is going to be a cycle, dude. So I'm not thinking so much about the Big 12 jobs or the SEC jobs or the Big 10. I'm thinking about an Oregon State. I'm thinking about a UAB.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, let's say Jeff Traylor takes one of these open jobs, and now UTSA, by the way, our Bryles lives in Hill Country. Now UTSA needs somebody. Could one of those programs, GJ Kinney, could Texas State, right? Think group of 6. Yes. Yes.
I
10%
disagree with
chance.
you. I agree with everything else you said. I do disagree with you that I do think that moved the needle, maybe ever so subtly, but it was an appearance. I think that we can't underestimate the power, really, of social media and ADs and presidents seeing that he was somewhere where there was a reception for him at an institution like the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. I think that honestly helps him. I'm not saying immensely, but it makes him more of it's civilization, dude. That guy exiled from college football. So it is interesting.
And by the way, I try to be the reasonable guy in the middle, and I'm a fan first and kind of media here second. I do not understand the people that defend all the things that happened at Baylor and his role in them. However big or small you think it was, I can't defend it. I also don't think I do think it's unfair that, for instance, he was offered the role of offensive coordinator at Grambling State.
Yeah, that was crap.
And he was kind of bullied out of that opportunity.
Yeah.
Being an offensive coordinator at a small school where you don't have the same kind of influence, authority, and power you had at Baylor, even back then, probably should have been a good opportunity for him to get back into working in the field where he belongs.
Was there anything that you pulled or heard of yesterday? Because I left town like right around.
Yeah, Mosley went. So Mosley and I talked about it yesterday.
Okay, can you give me like a couple of nuggets, or what did Matt say for people that didn't listen to that?
Yeah,
show?
Matt said there was absolutely no one there. He expected a voice or two to be there just to protest or maybe kind of rain on the parade. No such thing. Everyone that was there was either media or there to fully support and celebrate and remember. The vibes were as good as they look, or you might have heard they were. It was all good, positive vibes. A lot of former players there. You might have seen some of those photos of guys on stage with art afterward. Matt said the only people in the room that weren't just overly celebratory were media there to cover the event, and everybody else was kind of there to be positive. And he said it seemed as if it meant a lot to Art. Art was humble, grateful, acted surprised that he received such support. The Texas Sports Hall of Fame said it was easily the most supported, sold out, packed event they've done in this series so far. That includes with guys like Roger Clemens in the past. Wow. So huge show of support for the man. He received it graciously and humbly. Told some interesting insights, such as, I don't know if you saw this, that
the Texas thing.
Correct. He was kind of ready to take that job, and we all knew that behind the scenes that he was at least courting that job, but felt like he needed to come back to Baylor after losing the Fiesta Bowl, and like he would be leaving Baylor high and dry, and didn't feel right about leaving after that loss. Which man, revisionist history.
UCF, right?
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, what could have been had Art taken that job in 2013? The trajectory of a lot of things would have been different, I think, in a lot of places. But I'll tell you this, Pete, not to comment on what's right or wrong or ethical or what people should or shouldn't do. This is what I know is true. If that man, whether it's as a head coach or an offensive coordinator, is back in college football, coaching, he will have a team winning 10 games a year in 2 years. Like, I don't have any question about it. I don't have any question or doubt about it.
You know what else? You want to hear a realistic situation?
Sure.
Kendall gets the job at Arkansas and he hires his dad to be his OC. That's in the realm of things that could happen. Having had TCU last week, seeing how well their offense did.
I have
and
two
Josh
pushback.
Hoover goes with him. No, Josh Hoover wouldn't leave. But.
I don't think that's a crazy take. I think that is far less likely. I think an SEC school hiring him would be way more difficult PR wise than a smaller school. The other thing is, dude, I just don't think Kendall's going to get that job. I think it's Rhett Lashley's job to lose at Arkansas.
Okay. Well, Kendall will. I'm saying Kendall will get a job soon. He will.
Maybe so. I don't think it's going to be an SEC job.
Okay. All right. Anything else? That was great insight, by the way. You're the best.
Hey, you're the best, man. Thanks I love talking Big 12 football. So
that's fun. That was a good time.
Right.
I'll be back in studio on Monday. We got and I got a Baylor basketball game. Excuse me. I got a Baylor basketball game. I got a bunch of Baylor radio games I'm doing because John Morris lets me fill in for him when he slides over to do the TV for ESPN Plus. So I got radio for Baylor on Monday, and then the following, I guess next weekend, I got a college basketball game in South Dakota, Iowa State, and Mississippi State. So we'll still be talking football, though. Don't worry. We got Rich Podolsky next Wednesday, the book, and then Madden Said to Summerall. Or it's John Madden and Pat Summerall. I think that's an old book, and then Madden Said to Summerall. But Podolsky had a great book just come out about John Madden and Pat Summerall, and I read his whole book about the NFL today. Amazing. So he's going to join us Wednesday. We got Spencer Tillman Thursday. We'll fill in accordingly. Otherwise, Chris Visser has us covered as always. He's doing a kick-ass job in Orlando. Let's see. How about this? Kevin Fisher. Best show. Didn't care at all for the Big 12 until watching. Now I'm following games. Fish, I talked to a very cool story. I talked to Billy King yesterday. Billy King was a former GM of the Sixers. And Billy just sent me a message on Instagram and was like, hey, give me a call. We'll catch up. And I called him. And, Billy's running like a search firm where he helps major, this is the old general manager of the Sixers, like when they went to a title in 2001. And when Kevin worked PR at the Sixers before I did, but Billy King is just a prince of a dude and a great basketball mind. And, the Big 12 leans on Billy now to help them with hires among, in the conference. And then, of course, he helps. He places coaches and scouts and general managers and people in front offices everywhere. But he was like, dude, I made the connection that you're doing stuff for the Big 12. So I send your mark a text and let him know you were one of us. I was like, Billy, nice. Because Billy helped me a lot. After I got sober, Billy helped me get my first job calling games in the NBA Development League. He's just one of the best guys ever. So pretty cool there. It's cool, like, keeping in touch with people that you cross paths with because he's one of the all-time great people and great basketball men. All right, we'll be back on a Monday. Have a great weekend. Subscribe. We got great content up from yesterday. We'll be cutting some clips later on today. I'll tell you one thing I do appreciate. Like when and this is a theory I have about sports media and folks like me that have shows. I want you to think about it this way. If you have a show and you end up cutting your own clips, right? And you end up like making your own thumbnails. I want people, my perspective, I pulled a perspective shift. And I see myself as, first of all, cutting a clip is not that hard. Unless you're doing a reel. Not a reel, a short. Shorts are time consuming and they can take a while. But if you're putting up a clip of an interview or a segment you liked, you cut it, that takes 2 seconds. And then really the cover art that you're putting together, it's basically like if you're a reporter and you're sitting next to a photog who just filmed your story and you're saying, hey, I like this video there, I like that video there. That stuff is so easy now. I can do it in like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And it all syncs together. So don't complain, people, that you have to do that. It's actually an opportunity. That's what I've told myself because everybody at Rogue Media is very busy and I understand that. So I found a genuine appreciation for it. So that's that, baby. I still dig the ditches too. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.